How to quickly move on after a divorce or breakup. People cope differently with breakups. Some folks move on gracefully and quickly, while others linger in the denial zone for quite some time. Check out these tips to learn how to heal after a relationship ends, how to grieve your loss, and how to move on. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I'm very happy to have you today. I hope you are doing fantastic and marvelous. And if you're doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea. Vodka, that's roll. Today's conversation is, touches a very sad or very sensitive topic, but we're trying to make it as clear and fun as possible. So, how to instantly move on after a divorce or breakup. The first thing you need to do is take care of yourself. It's very important. You got to get back into the game. The thing here is that this is a divorce is a highly stressful event, right? For some people, it's life-changing, right? So as you're going through that emotional roller coaster and you're dealing with a lot of changes, not only personally, but professionally, maybe, or in terms of the authorities, if you have to change your legal status, when it comes to taxes, there's a lot going on. But in that turbulence, amid that turbulence, you need to find time for yourself. You need to take care of yourself because you are the most important person, the most important element in all this equation here. So treat yourself as cautiously and properly as possible. Get plenty of rest. Right? You want to minimize, you want to cut down other sources of stress in your life. What's very important also is that you need to reduce your workload if possible. Right? Because again, the ability to take care of yourself is what's going to help you quickly move on after a divorce or breakup. Quickly re-enter the dating market if that's what you want. Quickly get back in shape, right? So make healthy choices. You want to eat well, sleep well, you want to exercise. This is very important, right? If you just had a breakup, don't let healthy habits fall by the wayside. No, it's very important. Hit the gym, even if it's once a week. Don't break the routine. Don't break the routine that made you a few months ago, a few years ago, great. You are still great. Another thing you want to do when it comes to taking care of yourself is exploring new interests. You want to explore new activities, right? The fact that you just ended a story doesn't mean the fact that you just ended a chapter of your life doesn't mean there's not a brighter chapter coming along. So explore new interests, right? Pursue fun new activities. Enroll in a dance class, in a cooking class. Enjoy life in the here and now. Be mindful of that. Don't dwell on the past. The past is past. And there is a reason why things happen the way they happen. So you got to move on. One thing you need to do is that you need to find some quiet time, some quality time where you reconnect with yourself. This would allow you to nurture yourself, to talk to yourself. Talk to yourself loudly. I'm not talking about, just imagining stuff. No, you want to tame that what Yogi called the monkey brain. You want to tame that negative self-talk in your brain. You want to talk to yourself openly. So take some time to nurture yourself, right? You can just spend time with good friends. You can listen to music. You can get a massage. You can take a yoga class. You can get some chocolate, read your favorite book, go for a walk in nature, whatever it is, get it done. And one thing that's very important also is to pay attention to what you need. If you need help, don't be scared of speaking up, right? Express your needs, all right? And once you have that, it's very important as you're going through that stressful moment of your life to stick to a routine. You want to have a fixed schedule every single day that you can actually have for a few days or weeks until you're back on track. Very important. If need be, I said earlier, I was telling you to reduce your workload. If need be, take a time out. Take a vacation to think about your life, right? Take a few weeks if you can afford it. You can even start a new job. You can move to a new city. Of course, if you have kids with your ex, it's a little complicated, but if you don't, then you're free. You are free to roam as a bird. Move to a new city, right? You want to surround yourself with people and things and places that lower your stress level. It's very important. One thing that I want to clarify here is that never, ever, ever use food, drugs, or alcohol to cope with stress after a divorce or breakup. The temptation is there, but never do it, because those are unhealthy choices. Those are destructive choices. In the long run, any of those, alcohol, drugs, or food, will bring more harm than good to your body. So take care of yourself. That's the first tip I'm giving you right now. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Tip number 2, very important. You want to understand why you're going through the stress. You want to understand why a breakup is so painful. It's very important to understand, because unless, and psychologists call it catharsis, you're able to go through some kind of process where you understand what happened, the pain you're having, and move on from there. So whatever the reason for the split, whether you wanted the split or not, the breakup of a relationship will turn things around. It might turn your whole world upside down. It's okay. Even if you have all kinds of painful and crazy emotions, it is okay, right? Now, even if the relationship was no longer interesting, a divorce is like some kind of separation, is painful. And the reason why it's painful is because people think of it as a loss, right? It's not about the loss of the relationship per se, the loss of the person per se. It's more of the loss of the dreams and commitments, aspirations, the loss of all those things you had together, all those things you constructed together. That's the loss. That loss is really painful, right? So the separation creates some kind of void, some kind of gap. The disruption creates some kind of grief. So that's what you have to think. If you need to go to a psychiatrist, not a psychiatrist, maybe a family therapist, that will be a better professional here, or a family counselor, go ahead. If you need to enlist the help of someone better equipped than you at this, go ahead. Right? Now, you have to recognize, as you're going through the reasons and motives behind a breakup, you have to realize that it's okay to have different feelings, right? It's okay to be confused. It's okay to be confused one day, the next day being angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be exhausted. It's okay to have all of those feelings, those intense feelings at the same time. Actually, there is something called the 5 stages of grief, where people are in. So you have denial, you have anger, you have bargaining, you have acceptance. You have depression, and then acceptance, right? Some people experience all these things, all these emotional states in the same day. So it's okay. Give yourself a break. As I said earlier, if you're going through all these things, the best way to cope with the breakup or divorce, besides taking care of yourself, is to give yourself a break. And please, never do this alone. Don't go through this alone. Share your feelings with good friends, with relatives. Share your feelings with a mentor or a coach. Share your feelings with a colleague or colleagues you trust. You can even, if need be, consider joining a support group. And support groups are great because they allow you to talk to others in similar situations. And together you can nurture each other. This is fantastic. It's wonderful. So the last thing you want to do is isolate yourself, because by doing so, you can increase your stress level, right? You can actually even reduce or lower your concentration. You can this can cause more harm than good. So you want to surround yourself again with the right people who are like-minded, who can understand you, who can help you, who can support you, who can nurture you. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Q. We're still having a conversation about how to instantly move on after a divorce or breakup. And I want to say that if you love the content of the show so far, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you are informed whenever we drop a new show. And share and like and comment on this show. We really appreciate it. Another thing you need to do is you want to learn the key takeaway from your breakup or divorce. You want to try to understand what happened. You want to consider this a lesson, but you want to really take the time to see things objectively. It is not as easy as I'm saying it now, because in times of emotional crisis, things may be fuzzy, but those are the times where you can seize opportunities to learn and grow. Even if you feel empty or sad, it doesn't mean that this will never change. This is just temporary. So you need to ask yourself a few questions, right? You need to ask yourself how you contributed to the problems of the relationship, for example. Another thing you want to do is ask yourself whether there is some kind of repetition, some kind of repeat mistakes that you keep making over and over and over in relationship after relationship, right? The idea here is not to blame anybody. I'm not asking you to pin blame on yourself or the other person. The situation here, the analysis here is aimed at making sure you get a takeaway. You get some lessons from this, right? Try to be honest with yourself. Nobody's watching you. Nobody's ranking you. Nobody's grading you here, right? So you don't want to dwell on the past. You don't want to dwell on your mistakes. You don't want to dwell on things that didn't work out. No, it's just analytical. It's just something that allows you to move on. Okay. Another thing that you have to think about is that, as you look back on the relationship, is there anything else that you could have done? How you are relating to your ex, the problems you worked on, how you handled the stress. Is it something you could have done differently? So you want to think about that, right? Another thing you want to do when it comes to moving on after a divorce or breakup is to seek support from your private circle. Now, I said this before when I was talking about people who are like-minded, but here I want to elaborate more on the private circle. So you can go to, a support group. That's pretty good. But try to connect face-to-face with trusted friends and family members, especially those who have gone through something similar, or those who are older than you. If you have an older aunt who is somewhere and is, way older than you, and you feel close to her, give her a phone call or go visit her. Or if you have a grandpa, if you're lucky to have your grandpa still alive, go and have a conversation with the man, right? You have a wealth of wisdom there sitting just to be distributed to you. All right. So it's very important to connect face to face with trusted friends and family members, right? I'm not talking about an email or a letter or a phone call. I'm saying go visit the person physically, right? Try to spend time also with people who support and energize you. And those are people who are part of your private circle, especially friends, especially colleagues whom you are comfortable with outside the workplace. If you're part of a sports club and you have known them for a while, go and meet with those people, right? If you need professional help, do it also, right? So I was talking about counselor, having a counselor. Another thing that has been very, very effective in the last 20 years for millions of Americans is to seek support from your religious congregation, your faith-based congregation, if you have one, right? So reach out to your synagogue, or to your temple, or to your church, or to your mosque. Reach out to the representatives of those institutions, those congregations. They will help you walk through this. Consider volunteering. You can volunteer at a community organization, at a school. As I said earlier, at a place of work, place of worship. You can volunteer there, and this could also help you cultivate new relationships and new friendships. And that's what you really need. right? To cope with a breakup or divorce, you don't want to do this alone. You want to be in a group. You want to do this collectively. You want to be filled with the vibrations of the crowd. It's uplifting. It's wonderful. And you need that. All right? I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Key, where we're still talking about how to instantly move on after a divorce or breakup. And I want to give a shout out to our millions of viewers in the United States, Canada, Australia, Nigeria, Kenya, Angola, Brazil, South Korea, France, and Germany. And throughout the whole world, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for your help. And we want to say here that the last thing you need to do when it comes to moving on right away after a divorce or breakup is to take time to grieve and heal. It's very important. You need to allow yourself to grieve the loss of the partner, the loss of the relationship, the loss of those joint aspirations, those joint dreams, those goals, right? Again, grief is a natural reaction to loss, right? So it's not a problem. You might have to go through the 5 stages of grief, as I said earlier. So that's depression, anger, bargaining. It's denial. First you have denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance, right? If you go through those, that's fine. The thing is that as you're dealing with the loss, think about how to solve each layer, each facet of that loss, right? It could be loss of companionship and shared experiences and aspirations, as I said. It could be loss of support. The support could be emotional, financial, social, or intellectual. It could be loss of hopes, dreams, right? So the thing here is that you need to go through that exercise and be conscious while going through it. Don't fight your feelings. If you're having ups and downs, deal with them. But never resort to the things that I was telling you earlier. Never resort to food, alcohol, or drugs to cope with that, right? Do everything, but don't resort to any kind of chemicals, right? Another thing you want to do is that you want to talk about how you're feeling, right? You got to keep moving on. Keep moving on and always think about the fact that you still have a future. This is not the end of the book. There is a new chapter to be written. How are you going to write that chapter? It's up to you, right? And never get depressed. And if you feel like you are borderline, getting close to depression, seek professional help, right? Another thing that is very important, and I think I alluded to it earlier, is if you have children. This is very important because when you have children and the parents split, the child can be confused. The child can be sad. The child can be sometimes uncertain about what that means and angry. So you want to help your child cope with that breakup. And you can do it several ways. You want to provide stability, right? You want to be positive. You want to be reassuring when talking to the child. This is very important. All right? Okay, folks, we're about to end today's conversation here, and I just want to recap the conversation. So how to instantly move on after a divorce or breakup. Take care of yourself. Understand why a breakup is so painful. Learn the key takeaway from your breakup or divorce. Seek support from your private circle. Take time to grieve and heal. All right? I will talk to you another time. And until then, stay marvelous.